Seniors, let's start imagining a situation. You have just moved out of your rented apartment. All your bills are cleared. The place is clean. You hand over the keys and you're waiting for your 20,000 security deposit. And then 20,000 deducted for deep cleaning and wall painting. No bill, no explanation, just gone. Now, be honest. What would you do? Google it, call a lawyer, give up, figure out exactly what you can do. Take 2 seconds, pick one. Because whichever option you picked, there's a good chance that it starts with Google. Government portal, confusing documents, legal PDFs. And that's where things get messy. Let's go back to our citizen. I'm not going to tell Nyaya Setu which act implies, I'm not going to give it a legal section, and I'm definitely not going to pretend I know legal terminology. I just need to explain what happened. And you don't even necessarily have to type. You can simply use voice input and explain the situation naturally. Just like you would explain it to another person. Okay, let's give it a try.
My landlord has refused to return my 20,000 security deposit, and it says it was deducted for cleaning and painting without providing any bill or justification.
Okay, now let's use this description and we are going to analyze the statutory rights. Whenever you type it or simply say it, the idea remains the same. You don't need to know complicated legal terminology. You just explain it. This is what happened to me. See, that's it. Now let's see what happened. Notice something. I never asked which section should I read. I asked a very normal human question. What can I do about this? Nyaya Setu now breaks the situation down into legal issue, the relevant information, applicable rights or provisions, and the possible next steps. And more importantly, it tells the citizen what kind of evidence could actually matter. See, here's the dynamic evidence checklist. Let's say the citizen says, okay, I understand the issue, but how do I prove it? And now we reach another extremely exciting part of legal life. Paperwork. Nobody wants to manually dig through a document looking for every relevant detail, right? So let's make the computer do the boring part. Nyaya Setu extracts the relevant information from the document. For example, let's upload this rental agreement here. Nyaya Setu presents it in a form that we can actually work with. If something is missing or requires attention, the system can surface that as well. Okay, here it is. As you can see in the rental agreement that the landlord is Prakash Kumar. Here we can see the name, we can see the invoice consideration, we can see the date of transaction, and in fact the invoice number. Now comes the obvious question. I know what happened, I understand my position, I have my documents, but what do I actually send to the other party? Because opening Microsoft Word and staring at a blank page isn't exactly a legal strategy, right? So that's where the Legal Notice Studio comes in. Instead of starting from scratch, the relevant information from the previous workflow can be used to build the notice. Now let's generate the legal notice. Here, our legal notice has been generated. We can download this file. With the notice generated, we have something else important too. Creating a legal notice is only one part of the process. Eventually, you actually have to get this notice to the other party, right? So, once the notice is generated, Nyaya Setu gives the citizen different ways to take that next step. If you have the opposite party's WhatsApp number, the notice can be shared directly through WhatsApp. The notice is already prepared. The citizen can review the message, add or select the recipient, and proceed with delivery. Alternatively, the notice can be sent through registered email. And if the situation requires physical delivery, the notice can also be prepared for printing and speed post dispatch, as you can see here. But here's the thing. Not every citizen comes to Nyaya Setu because something went wrong, right? Sometimes the problem is that something could go right and they simply don't know about it. Imagine a student from UP, 20 years old, family income within the relevant range, and they need financial support. Now ask yourself, how many government schemes do you know you are eligible for? Probably not many. And that's not because the schemes don't exist. Obviously, government information is often scattered across ministries, portals, PDFs, and notifications. So, instead of making the citizen know the name of a scheme first, Nyasketu can work from the citizen's profile and look for relevant schemes. Let's feel the details of the girl. Suppose she's 20 years old and she's from UP. This is the annual household income, and we'll evaluate the schemes available. Here we can see the recommendations, but there's another problem. Being told you may be eligible isn't enough. You also need to know, what do I need? So the system can identify the documents that are available and the ones that still need to be obtained. That changes the answer from here's a scheme to here's a scheme, here's why it may apply to you, and here's what you need to do next. Let's check it out. Here's the first scheme, PM Vishwakarma scheme for artisan and craft person. You can see the document gap here. For example, it says that procurement procedure के लिए ration card is still required, right? And you can change the documents available to you from here. Okay, but where does the answer come from? And this brings us to one of the most important technical parts of Nyay Setu. Suppose I ask an AI, which government scheme applies to me? It could simply generate an answer, right? But that's not what we want for a legal and civic platform. On screen, there should be question, retrieve relevant information, provide context, generate response. Our RAG pipeline is designed around this idea. The system retrieves relevant information from its knowledge sources and uses that context while generating the response. So, instead of treating the language model as a source of truth, we use retrieval to ground the response in relevant information. And when sources are available, we can also show where the information came from. For example, we can see the official portal for the same. Here it is. There's still one question. Okay, I understand my rights, I have my evidence, I know what action I can take. But where do I actually go? That's where the directory and legal assistant features come in. Instead of leaving the citizen with, good luck, Nyay Setu helps point them towards the relevant authority or legal assistant resource. As you can see that I changed the domicile state to Delhi. Now I can access the state portal directly from here. And legal problems have another annoying little detail. Time. Knowing what to do is useless if you don't know when you need to do it. So, the timeline functionality helps turn legal deadliness into something a normal person can actually understand. Here's the statutory timeline. See, you can see the case I just filed about the landlord. It shows the exact timeline, that how much time it's going to take to be resolved, and here's the entire progress. Understand, verify, act. Because having rights is one thing, being able to understand them, verify your situation and actually use them is another. Nyay Setu, bridging the gap between citizens and their rights. From something happened to me to I understand what happened. I have the evidence, I know what I can do, and I can actually take the next step. That's the bridge we are trying to build. Thank you, seniors. Have a nice day ahead.